Good morning. It's a very good morning indeed. And we are here. And the camera's barely holding on. It's all pretty wacky. But Shannon's here because Claudia's not. But Shannon's here. And if you could see Shannon, she's wearing red, a color she should always be wearing. So anyway, she looks
good morning,
fabulous.
Good evening. I don't know if they can hear me. Hopefully they can. I probably have my phone down on the microphone. Let me put it up here and see.
Good, all of the things.
All the things. Hi, Leslie Williams.
Okay. So that's a weird sound. Your house looks great though, but there's a weird, sounds like you've got a blow dryer on.
Oh, you know what? It's probably sitting on my fan on my computer. Can you hear me okay down here? I can't hold it.
Can everybody hear?
Or I can just lay it. You can leave the ceiling. How's that? That'll probably be okay.
Yeah, even though I can't see your red shirt now. All right. So you know that I believe that coffee cups are like oracle cards, and today I run on caffeine, horses, and cuss words. So here we go. And also, I have a really funny little thing. I bought this dress in Africa, right? And it's super cute.
Cute. Love
right?
it.
And it's like my perfect style, and it's got animals and cute trees. So I bought this in Africa. I've never worn it. Today's the first time. I took the tag off. But what's funny is then I'm in India, and what happens? I buy some pink pajamas for like nothing. Certainly a fraction of this. Nothing. I mean, the little stuff that I bought, it was very inexpensive. Anyway, it is the same pattern but pink as this dress.
Oh my gosh.
Is that crazy. The funniest thing? Clearly, I love this pattern, and the pattern loves me. Anyway, good morning. If you're new to me, my name is Joan Ranquet. I'm an animal communicator, author, speaker, TEDx speaker, and founder of Communication with All Life University. We have programs for people to learn animal communication or become an animal communicator, to learn energy healing or become an energy healer. And we also have trips and lots of little juicy classes coming up. And so I'm going to run through real quick what we have, but I'm going to take a sip. Who's here? Shannon?
Well, I know Leslie's here. There's some other people. We'd love to have you. Can you put your name in the comments, say hi, and we want to hear where you're from, because it's always fun to see where everybody's from. So I see 6 or 7 people watching, but oh wait, Heidi Ensley just clicked love. Melissa Chandler.
I didn't mean to do that.
And let's see.
I'm having problems, and we're gonna have to go sideways for a minute. There's
you're good.
No, I didn't mean to show my house.
Oh. We're a little cockeyed. There we go.
Yeah, it's without Claudia here. Sometimes I'm technically challenged. So we're gonna be a little sideways, unless.
Okay.
That's a little sideways, but I just realized that I think my cats are out on the catio. And I think I should bring them in. But anyway.
Okay. You want me to say hello to everyone?
Yeah, say hi to everybody. I'll be right back. It's going to be an empty set.
All right. It's an empty set, but she's going to be right back. So I'm going to go back here. Hi, Heidi. Thank you for saying hi. Hi, Tanya Hafe, 2 of our amazing teachers. Hi, TJ. Hi, Melissa Chandler. She loves your dress, which we'll tell her when she gets back. Glad you're here. And, of course, Leslie Williams loves your dress, too.
Oh, goody.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Nice.
There you
go. Okay. So, here we are. So I've been working away. I worked a lot this weekend, but I also had a lot of fun. Um, I love being able to be creative, and I was super creative with working on the animal medical intuition. And so I'll tell some of the things we have coming up, and then I want to talk about animal medical intuition because we have a webinar this week, and we also have a class coming up. So I thought it'd be a good idea to really review why it's important. But anyway, starting with June, what are the dates, Shannon?
June 23rd, 24th, and 25th, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
We have the animal medical intuition here in person. And I'll tell you, Shannon's going to be here.
Yay!
Just for that reason alone.
So excited. I can't stand it.
Get a flight.
Yes.
And then we also have, we have a lot of fun things planned, work fun. But I've never taught this in this way, so it's going to be really exciting and it's going to be very fun. Then the other thing that we have coming up will be a virtual animal communication retreat at the end of August. We have the Shift Network. I'm teaching an animal communication, bridges, energy healing. I don't know what the title is. Anyway, there will be a class with the Shift Network starting July 17th. So it actually goes Animal Medical Intuition, Shift Network, Animal Communication Virtual Weekend. Then we have the Fall Intensive, which is 3 days of animal communication, 3 days of death, dying, and beyond, and 3 days of animals in transition, death, dying, and beyond, and 3 days of energy healing for animals, where you get to do scalar and understand energy fields, and we just do a whole lot in that 9-day period. And then, of course, all the classes start back up again. Animal communication, level 1, in end of October, and energy healing for animals, level 1, beginning like the second week of November. But I also wanted to bring up that, we will have animal medical intuition, but there are some prerequisites. So if you didn't come to the weekend workshop, there will be the online version or the weekly version that starts, the live classes that start in September. So, as a school, we've got so many things going, and it's just very exciting, and I love all of it, all of the things. Any other comments?
Let's see here. Dr. Bernadette is here.
Hi, Bernadette.
And Elle O'Brien is here.
Mm.
And Melissa
Hi.
Chandler said would love to come in June, but she's coming in November.
Okay.
Well, I would love for you to come in June too, Melissa, but
Here
come in November.
Here comes Henry. He's and if you were questioning why I have a lone plant in the middle of the room when the camera got reversed, it's so that no cats can eat that plant. So that plant lives like an island in the center of the room. Anyway. So, let's talk about medical intuition. I have a really groovy webinar coming up on Thursday at 1 o'clock. Is that right? Thursday at 1 o'clock.
I think you said 2, but I don't know.
Yeah,
sure.
2 o'clock.
And that's Pacific time, folks.
Yeah, 2 o'clock Pacific time. So anyway, why is medical intuition so important? For one thing, it can save lives. For another thing, it can help you understand huge behavioral issues, or if there's a sudden behavioral issue, or when you start to look at a body from a medical intuition standpoint, you not only understand how they carry themselves and why they carry themselves, but you understand a whole piece of their entire being and what is really behind some of their behavior and even some of their personality. And I'll talk about that in a moment. We'll talk about a lot of stuff in a minute. Also, it is a great thing for understanding performance, right? Like, why is the guide dog not so confident? Why is the horse at the horse show not picking up its left lead? Why is the list goes on. Why is the dog not doing what she used to do at the agility trial? All of these things become so important and such an integral part of animal communication. And it, in many ways, is like animal communication in that it's its own thing that you have to understand. You have to be able to get quiet enough to do. You have to be confident. You have to be able to discern between yourself and others. And you want it to be like animal communication where it's an on-off button. Because I will tell you one thing right now. Most people that are animal empaths, that are empathic and out in the world, I always say most people are going to the chiropractor for their spouse's bad back. What do I mean? I mean that most of us are picking up on other people's stuff all the time. And it's not just mentally, and it's not just emotionally, but it's also physically. So how do we caution against that? Well, the first thing is awareness. And we'll talk about that also in a few minutes. But when I say that, like, perhaps something would change the behavior or the personality of an animal, my dog Delilah had a very, very terrifying accident when she was about 1 year old. She was running, and hit a bolt and gloved herself. So, like, it was just so gross. I can't even tell you. Yeah, and that's actually quite a story about guides and help. And there we go. Here's the action. That was the action of the day. Did you get to see that? That's why I brought the cats in. Anyway, it was good. So she was very, 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 very terrified. And I was afraid I was going to lose her. Of course, it was Memorial Day weekend, and only like 2 hospitals were open. I, of course, always live in the middle of nowhere. And so this was one of those situations where the nearest emergency room was 45 minutes to an hour away. And it was, there was a chance she was going to lose that leg, right? So I want to go back to more reasons for for animal medical intuition in a minute, but staying with this story for the moment, how could that have changed her personality? It could have changed her personality a lot. She could have been, if she'd lost that leg, she could have been very protective of that area. She could have been very sad and maybe never gotten out of it. Thankfully, she's a Sagittarius eternal party girl. And I mean, she's just, every day is a great day in her world. But the point is that often when an accident happens, it can really change the trajectory of an animal's life. And so a lot of times there are old accidents that we're not aware of. So animal medical intuition, one of the other things that it does when you get really good at it, is you're able to see, like, oh, this is an old injury. This is a new injury. This is as a result of that. You can basically give somebody the physical history of their animal's body. And again, even more than humans, these physical things inform the personality and behavior. So it's a really important, necessary skill set that is above and beyond animal communication. I mean, sure, a dog can say, "Oh yeah, my foot hurts," but you can pinpoint down to which digit, right? And then you're suddenly able to really help the person make different decisions about should I be letting my dog out to play? So all of these things become hugely important. The other way that animal medical intuition becomes very important is after a surgery, right? And you can start to see, all right, maybe this looks okay, but it's draining weird. Or maybe the internal stitches are not right. Or maybe there's something really not quite healing. So all of these things become hugely important. And I will say that I've worked with over 34 veterinarians as an animal communicator / medical intuitive. And most of those veterinarians were actually Western medicine because they don't have the holistic viewpoint, the holistic veterinary practices, which can diagnose with a pulse, right? You can look at an animal, and a holistic vet with Chinese medicine background can look at an animal and they can look at their tongue. They can look at a lot of things that a Western medicine vet doesn't have up his or her sleeve. So that's where, if we can get great at this, we could be installed in every vet hospital around the world. And that would be a great thing. It would certainly also be what's stopping all the cats getting dumped in the shelters, right? Because if we understood that no, they're not doing it because of a behavioral thing, they're peeing out of the box because they have certain scar tissue, or stress wreaks havoc on their bladder, or all of the things. There are so many ways that this could change the world for animals. I mean, seriously. So, again, we can start to see how a personality is affected by, I mean, we all know people with chronic pain, right? And they get cranky. I mean, Shannon, can you share?
What? I never get cranky now.
No, not you, but I mean, you know people that have chronic.
Oh my God, no! I mean, myself included. When my back and neck are flared up, I can't. I don't. It takes everything to be in my body and nice, because you're in pain, and so you're not thinking properly, and that's why people who work at clinics and doctors' offices and PTs, like, they're trained to be understanding that people might be a little aggravated and rude, and it's because of the pain, you know?
Yeah. So there is that. We know that that's true with people. And so if we know that's true with people, it's certainly going to be true with animals. And so that dog that's lunging on the leash may actually have a neck injury. And then, of course, it's exacerbating it by getting stopped on the leash. But, these are all things that people don't take into consideration. We love to say, oh, my dog is just being a jerk, or my cat is really mad at me. No, your cat's not mad at you. Your cat's not pissed off. That's not why he or she is peeing out of the box. So, and if we stopped taking it so personally, if we weren't so egocentric and we could see them as an individual, we would understand that maybe they have their own thing, like, silent pain going on in their physical body. So these are all very important things to be looking at when it comes to animal communication. It's the true add-on to animal communication. It's almost like I said, a dog can tell you its foot hurts, but if you, as an animal medical intuitive, can nail down which digit it is, you might see that, oh, there's tendon pain, or there's, this is connected to the ACL from, 4 months ago. So again, I can't stress enough how much it is a necessary part of animal communication, but also its own separate thing. I always come on to the animal medical intuition classes and act like the mean veterinarian, because I want my students to be able to speak to the most skeptical Western medicine vet and be able to do a great job, to not be rattled, not be nervous, be able to solve the challenge within 2 seconds because of their stellar skill set. And so I'm not that mean when I play the mean vet, but I'm funny. I mean, it is funny, but it gets people on their toes, and it's so that's just a warning for the people that are in animal medical intuition class right now today, and they've got like a Tanya who's so cheerful. I come in a few weeks and I'm mean, but anyway, not that mean. But it's good. And so, is anyone commenting?
Let's see here. Okay, yes, we have Susie Reed says medical intuition is her favorite thing, which is why we need her in California at the end of June. Just saying.
Mm-hmm. I've already told her that if she gets on your flight, I'll be picking her up.
She doesn't even know that because I haven't been able to talk to her yet, so now she knows.
No, I texted her.
Oh, goody.
Yeah.
Okay. L. O'Brien says, I've been wondering if I'm picking up one of my kids' physical issues. Does the issue ever show up in the mirror side?
Meaning if it's
like
in the
if
left
it's on their
toe.
left, you feel it on your right if you were mirroring.
It can. What I call that is telepathic dyslexia. And in the beginning, that happens. What happens with practice is we really nail it down.
Yeah. And then she said, I always got tired and depressed before I left my chronic pain behind. I've seen the same with animals. And yeah, I'm going outside the box because it hurts to step inside. When what you were just talking about with the pain and the frustration.
Yeah.
And then Lori Jodar is here. She said, hi, I made it. Yay. Hi, Lori.
Hi, Lori.
And
cool.
Bernadette said, I love it. Like all the information. So.
Yeah. Bernadette, can you get on a plane and fly out at the end of June? We would love to have you here. It would be so fun.
Whole big program. I mean, gosh, doesn't everyone wish they had a veterinarian like that?
Yes, we need the veterinarian who went through the whole big program here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing, I wanted to share some of the things that happen, just a couple of little stories. So when I talk about, like, this really saves lives, you may have heard this story before, but it's worth resharing. I have, when I lived up in Carnation, Washington, I had a friend. I still have her as a friend, but she used to be my neighbor, and she was 40 acres over. And she called me one morning very sad and said, I need you to come over because I think I'm going to have to let Kellogg go. And if you read my first book, Kellogg, my first book, I can kind of point to it. There we go. That book. There's a story in there about Kellogg being a type A personality. So Kellogg, there's certain animals when you're an animal communicator that you have had such a magical experience with, and then they get to be in the book. And so this was killing me that she was saying that she had to put him down. So I said, well, I can do this on the phone. It was one of those, probably a Tuesday, which are always insane. And I also was having the equine dentist out. So it was my already compact day was like compounded into like, I'm going to manage this and this and this and this and teach and do all of the things. So I said, I really don't need to come over. And she's like, no, you really do. And I was thinking, all right, this is one of my dearest friends. So I ran over there before my day started. So it's probably right around this time of day. And as I'm walking into the barn, not into the bar, into the barn, um, I I just was struck with how much my tooth hurt. Well, a moment ago, and this is about the awareness of our own physical being and really getting to neutral. Like we get to neutral with the animal communication and energy healing, we have to get to neutral with animal medical intuition. So my tooth all of a sudden started hurting, and I just looked at Karen and I said, Karen, it's his tooth. It's his tooth. It's his tooth, and it's your lucky day because in about 1 hour, the equine dentist will be at my house. And I am going to bring her over here first. We'll pull the tooth, and you'll have a horse. So, sure enough, when Aaron, the equine dentist vet, got to my house, I put her in the car and ran her over, pulled the tooth. Kellogg lived another 3 years. I mean, he was 25 at the time. So, and for an off-the-track thoroughbred that raced for years, that was pretty great. He might have been 23 and he died at 25, but it was something like that. He lived for another, I think, 3 years. I was in Borneo when he died, and I remember very distinctly leaving the group at the restaurant because I saw it on Facebook, and I finally had interwebs, and so I left the table and went and called her because he was a very important part of my life. As well as hers. So that's, I mean, obviously not as important, but very important. And I want to go back to the story I was sharing about Delilah because something really insane happened on that drive when she almost lost her leg to the, just to review, she was running after Bunny about 1,000,000 miles an hour and hit a bolt and it gloved her. So all of her tendons and everything was visible. It was like, skeleton man class, but with your dog who's terrified. So at the time, my stepdaughter was staying with me, and she's very tall, and this is an important detail in a moment. So Delilah was struggling in the front seat, and she was in shock, but also moving around, and I knew if she moved the wrong way, she was going to rip a tendon or a ligament or do more damage, right? So I was pretty, I was, I had a 45-minute drive to the emergency vet. My stepdaughter is freaking out, and I am maybe not this mean entirely, but I just did not want to lose the leg or the dog because I could feel that Delilah was potentially in so much pain that she could leave us. So I pulled over and I said a quick prayer to all my guides and helpers, like, get in here. I'm going to try and do scalar while I'm driving, but I really need to just drive fast and I need the help. And then I turned to my stepdaughter and I said, if you're going to continue to freak out, then I'm going to let you out right now. And you can, I don't know what you're going to do, but I cannot have you freaking out about how gross her leg looks. In front of her, we need all hands on deck. And it was like she snapped too, my stepdaughter, and she, being tall, then leaned up against the front seat and stabilized Delilah the whole way. So Delilah was stabilized in the car. And then what happened, I cannot describe. The car filled with help. And Delilah stayed in shock a little bit, but was looking all around the car. My stepdaughter sat there and said, Joan, what is happening? What is happening? And I said, I've called in help. And so I couldn't sit and drive and look at both Delilah and Nicole, but they both were like so amazed at what was in the car with us. And so then we had to get her out of the car and into the vet hospital. And the emergency vet basically told me they were probably going to have to take the leg. And so she went back, and I sent all the help back there too. And I just imagined that they would just pull the skin up and it'd be just a few stitches here and a few stitches there. And that the leg would be perfect. And the vet came out as stunned as Delilah and Nicole were, and was blinking and looking all around also, and said, I think I'm going to be able to save the leg, and I think it's only going to be a few stitches up in the armpit and around on the backside of the leg. And so, anyway, it was a very magical and scary experience all at once. And so, again, I didn't want this medical thing to inform this sunshine personality, to make her not be the delightful butterfly that she always was. Now, people experience her as the bitchy older sister because she's got 2 dogs she's had to train. But she makes Penelope look like nothing as far as the greeting committee goes. And she had she has the little butterfly ears. So I just always called her my little butterfly. And she really, that did not change her personality one bit or affect how she shows up. So it really became very important to be able to feel into her and help her get better throughout the whole thing. So the more you're able to do this medical intuition, okay, Shannon, let's talk about vet bills.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
How much have we saved, right?
How much have we saved because we can do animal medical intuition? It's crazy. Yeah. Because, yeah. And then, and again, you'll hear more about this in the webinar Thursday if you've signed up for the webinar, but we'll get the sign up in here in the thread at some point today. One of the other stories, so going back to, like I said, that animal medical intuition really helps when it comes to doing, like after a surgery, right? Or if you've got a chronic illness or a systemic situation or allergies, all of those things. So I had a client forever named Marianne, and she had a dog named Hannah. And if you read my first book, which I'm pointing to, her story is in the book about another dog, but I mentioned Hannah in the book. Hannah was a lab, and Hannah and the other dog lived longer than any dog had at that point. Now they do all the time with Rocky Mountain spotted fever. So she had everything kind of go wrong in the same way that like it goes wrong with like Lyme's disease and things like that. Like all, could be muscle soreness, could be this, that, or the other thing. So I was constantly checking in on Hannah for Marianne because, she would have a new symptom. So we had kind of a standing appointment for medical intuition and then scalar. I would do scalar wave on her weekly. And so what happened one day was pretty unbelievable. I felt this sensation, like the dog had, Marianne had called and said, Hannah is really stuffed, she's got an upper respiratory, but I knew that wasn't it. And I knew because I knew what it felt like to feel into the systemic nature of the Rocky Mountain spotted fever, right? So I knew what that felt like. This was a new feeling. And I had a sensation that it was not from inside. And then I started saying, Marianne, you've got mold in your house. And this was a beautiful house in the Palisades, right? It's not what anybody wants to hear. And she didn't really believe me, right? Because this is Malibu, this Palisades. It's relatively dry. There's no way that, she thinks she's got mold. Well, then Marianne got sick and could not get rid of this cold. And she had me do a medical intuition scan on her. And I mean, the details of this whole thing. And I kept saying, there's one place in your bedroom where there is mold. And I had never seen her house, but because I was so in the medical intuition, I was able to share with her exactly where the vent was. Well, it turns out the vent was full of mold. It was right where the dog slept, the dog bed was, and she slept right there, and then her husband slept on the other side of her. Her husband didn't get sick. The vent wasn't, spewing onto him. It was really only right there, just pretty much right between where the dog bed was and her head. So when you get really good at the animal medical intuition, you start to understand things like, is this a chemical thing within the animal? Is this becoming physiology because of a behavioral issue? Is this environmental? So these are all the sorts of things that you want to be able to help a client with. So that is one of the many things. And I keep checking the time because I have a very cool interview today with the guy that created Quantum Touch as a bonus for my Shift Network class. So anyway, that's all. I have so many fun things going on right now, I can hardly hold it together. It's like, this is happening, the book is coming out, the book that I'm pointing to, that book, Emotional Freedom Technique for Animals. But anyway, so I have to go here in a minute, but I would love for you to join the webinar. And then next week we have an Ask Joan about all things animal medical intuition. But it's a really cool facet to the animal communication, but just in the program curriculum, we've separated it out because it's its own thing. It used to be something that we would do on Tuesdays and we would do on the during the intensive, but at the end of the day, it's now its own lone class because it's so important and so powerful. And so we really will talk about the 3 ways that we do medical intuition and cautionary tale of like animal communication or energy healing. You don't want to be so open that you're always picking up on stuff, because otherwise you're walking around with a bunch of chronic pain that isn't yours. And when you have a really good sense of your own self and what is yours, what is your baseline, and you can get neutral, then you can really decipher whose situation it is. If I wake up with a lower back issue, I don't have one. So then I know back in the day I would have checked Olivia first, my older dog. Now I check Gabrielle, my older horse, to see if it's her soreness. So there's all sorts of things. I mean, all of this and more is what we're going to do hands-on in the weekend, the 23rd, 24th, 25th, or the 24th, 25th, whatever it is, that weekend, end of June. And then, we'll definitely touch on it in the webinar. And there may or may not be a digital class that comes out of all of this.
Yay.
Yay. All right. Any last words from anyone?
Charlie Kale said, Joan's mean vet persona has been so helpful to keep in mind while dealing with clients. And Elle said, after listening here, she is wondering now if it goes beyond just mirror touch symptoms. Joyce Lee Leggett said, great to finally get here. And then, I just commented about how it's one of my favorite animal communication modalities, and it's so true that I had to learn to recognize what was mine and what isn't, and start my day off differently so that it would be easy to discern that. So thanks to your awesome tools. So good stuff. I can't wait for the class in June.
I know.
23rd to 25th.
Yeah, and is Dana here? Do I see a D and a V?
I'd have to look and see.
Yes, she just showed up. She needs to get on a plane and get down here for the Animal Medical Intuition, end of
There
June.
she is. There. I finally saw it. There's a lag. So, yes, Dana, get here. I need to meet you.
Yeah.
Person.
In
I
person.
think I even emailed. One of us emailed you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining me today. And now I get to get ready for a very fun interview. And I'm really grateful you were all here. And I hope to see you on the Animal Medical Intuition webinar. Or more importantly, sign up for the weekend. It's going to be so fun. So fun. Because we're going to do a lot around gates and not barn gates. Not gates to fences.
Not gates you open and close.
Yeah, we're going to be dealing with walk, trot. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn a lot. And so it's very, very, very important that if you can get here, you have no idea how much you're going to be able to change lives. Okay, now the cat is torturing the dog. It's exciting here. Yeah. All right. On that note, oh, there we go. Okay, have fun. See you soon.